Hello and welcome to Bosch Professional Live UK. I'm Chris Murray, one of the Professional Power Tool Trainers managers here in the UK, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Danny, again, one of the Power Tool Trainers here at Denham.
Okay, so apologies, I know there's been a few events, so recent events have meant that we weren't able to do the last live stream, but we're back and we're raring to go with some excellent products. What are we going to look at today? Right,
today we're going to look towards doing a live stream on Recip saws. So we're looking at anything used for the likes of demolition, wood cutting in general, even a bit of lawn care, not lawn care, garden care as well. That's that right. Sort of type machine.
So again, we've got quite a range of Recip saws, GSAs for us, but again today we're going to be predominantly going to be looking at the cordless machines. So we're looking at some 12 volt, some 18 volt and some 18 volt BITURBO machines. As per always with our live streams, the main point here is to make sure that we obviously entertain you guys, you understand some things about our tools, and again making sure that you guys get some questions in on the topic at hand, which is obviously Recip saws as well as some of the Recip accessories and blades, and you can also ask some questions about some other products that might not necessarily be related to this particular live stream, but we'll have a go at seeing if we can answer them as well. Previously we did say we were going to do metalworking, but we wanted to make sure that we get a guest star in. We want to get someone in from our accessories department, so we're going to have that probably on the 12th of October, I think, yeah?
Yeah, I think we are aiming for that, yeah.
Right, okay, let's start. Let's start with, well, let's talk about what Recip machines are really for. So a reciprocating machine, essentially it's kind of like, we call them saber saw machines, etc., etc.
Sawzalls, yeah, they've got multiple different names for them, but they all basically do the same thing. It's a reciprocating blade used in conjunction with a fixed foot or a movable foot to cut material.
Yeah, and the material depends on really what kind of accessory you've got in there. So you're looking at all kinds of things from wood metal, hardened steel in some cases, all the way up to bricks, well not all the way up to, including hollow brick and things like that. So you can do a lot of things with a Recip saw. In fact, actually, many people have been saying that maybe actually there's more versatility with saber saws than there are with jigsaws now, just because of the sheer amount of different accessories you can get with modern reciprocating saws.
Yeah, you'd have thought normally with a Recip saw you're not going to get the sort of quality of cut, but there's some really good high quality blades out there which can give you very close to a jigsaw cut quality.
And again, we'll be looking at the basic range as well as the expert range, and that's really where we want to talk about stuff. We're really going to be talking about things like the benefits you can get from the carbide technology in the expert range. Right, so let's start off with our machines. Let's start off with the 12 volt machine. Let's start small and work up. Let's have a look at the GSA 12V-14.
There we go. So we've got a little baby one here to start off with. 12 volt machine, really comfortable to hold in the hand, sort of a pistol design. The idea of this is to keep the motor canted back away from the linear vibration of the machine, so you're getting minimal amount of feedback through to the user. So vibration being a very important thing we want to avoid at all costs.
That's right, yeah, and we will spend some time in this presentation talking at depth to all you guys that love it, talking about why vibration and hand and arm vibration is really important and why you really want to minimise that.
That's it, yeah. Same with most of our triggered machines, you've got a lockout switch. It's not forward and reverse. You can't unsaw a piece of wood or metal, but we do have a physical lockout for the machine here. We've got a battery indicator display just on the side there, like we do with most of our 12 volt machines, because there's no battery indicator on the actual battery itself. It's got a fixed foot, as I said before, the canted back motor, and an SDS locking system for the blade there. Do you want to quickly show that?
Yep, definitely, let's show that.
So I'll put it flat on its side there for you so you can see it easier. This silver collar here rotates anti-clockwise here, allows you to pop the blade straight in and release, and that locks the blade into the machine. So you'll be away and cutting in no time with that. And when it comes to removing it, just twist that again anti-clockwise and the blade just pops out.
Yep. Nice and simple. Now, although it's compact, it's not just just because it's a compact machine doesn't mean it's lacking power. So don't forget, it also will cut up to 65 millimeters in wood, and it will do 50 millimeters in steel, or so metal, steel pipe, and profile. The machine itself, it's in the name itself. It's got a 14 in the name, which means it's got a stroke length of 14 millimeters. That's the amount of movement that the blade will move backwards and forwards, and it has a stroke rate of around, it has 30,000 SPM strokes per minute. So not only is it compact, but it's powerful and it's fast as well. It's only about 255 millimeters in total tool length there.
Yeah, with a fine tooth per inch blade in there, that's a lot of cutting power in a very short, small, compact machine.
Yeah, and I mean that's given in the fact that when we actually supply the machine, typically it comes in different variations, but typically it will come with two kinds of blades. It will come with a bi-metal blade, a flexible metal blade, typically for cutting in metal,
yep.
and it will also come with a combination wood and metal blade. Yep. So you can work in things. If you can see the example here, if you've got nail embedded wood or just stuff that you're demoing, then that kind of blade's perfect for that kind of demonstration, that kind of material. Do we talk about the amount of vibration? I think we might as well refer to it. I mean, it's a compact machine. It's got about 12 meters per second squared vibration, hand and vibration data. Vibration coming from the machine, and that'll become relevant when we talk about some of the other machines. But again, it's a very nice, small, compact machine with quite manageable vibration. Yeah.
No, that's good. They have a lot of these have an offset counterbalance, which obviously takes a lot of the vibration away from it. But wherever it's been placed in the machine, sort of governs what the level of anti-vibration is. Some better than others, but we'll cover that in detail as we go through the range.
As it's part of our 12-volt range, that means this machine is completely backwards compatible with our entire range of 12-volt batteries, including the old 10.8 batteries that used to be out in the market before we rebranded them as 12-volt. So you're looking at plenty of choices all the way up to our double-stack 4 and our 6 amp hour batteries. So you've got plenty of runtime available to you in the 12-volt platform.
That's it, yeah. It's not, like we said before in the live streams, it's not a system that we're looking at dropping, only adding to, because there's a lot of people out there who use these on a day-to-day basis. Maybe that's all that they need.
Exactly.
So, really handy range.
Right, so we've got another machine. So that's our 12-volt, but let's have a look at a machine that looks very similar, but it's like its bigger brother. So we're looking at the GSA 18-volt now, so the 18 VLI-C, and C here stands for compact. So let's put them next to each other just so you can see.
So you can see the obvious design characteristics that were taken from the 12 to the 18. They've made fully use of that canted back motor to reduce the anti-vibration. If I pop this one out of the way, you can see that a bit better there. So again, it's very similar. The tool holding fixture is basically the same. It just takes the...
Yeah, it's got the same lock-on switch. You don't have to worry about the battery charging indicator because it's always on the back of our 18-volt batteries. The specs have jumped up now because it's a more powerful machine, so we're now looking at 200 millimeters of depth of cut in wood, 100 millimeters in wood, and it's got a stroke length of 21 millimeters. So it's just a bigger version, more powerful. We've got the 18-volt platform to drive more power. It's got roughly the same strokes per minute at 3,050 strokes per minute, and weighs in at just around 2 kilos. So it's only a bit heavier. Well, I say a bit heavier. It's only slightly heavier than the 12-volt machine.
Yeah.
However, the one thing that's really important is the fact that despite it being a bigger machine, the actual vibration is a lot lower. It's about 8 meters per second squared.
You'll find that's probably down to the fact the handle's slightly further away from the motor. You're holding it a little bit further back. In addition, this has the fixed foot, same as the other machine. So.
That's right, yeah. And total length, it's a little bit longer, obviously, it's a bigger machine, 367 millimeters, but it's still very, very manageable, and that's the reason why we refer to this as our compact machine. Right, so I mean, Dan, just one more demonstration to show you how the blade fits in. It's exactly the same, but worth showing again for those who might have joined.
So you can see that from here. Again, turn the collar anti-clockwise, pop the blade in there, just release it, and there you go, fully fitted. I won't run it too quickly, but yeah, tight in there. To remove it, same again, anti-clockwise, probably about 90 degrees, and the blade comes straight out.
Right, to those who are just joining the stream, any of those you guys that were late, we're just talking about our Recip saws. So we're talking about basically our 12-volt and our 18-volt reciprocating saws, our GSAs. We've just covered the two smaller of the two, which is the GSA 12-14, our 12-volt system, and we just finished the compact machine, which is the GSA 18 VLI-C for compact. So, should we stop for any questions? Have we had any questions yet, Rob, or should we keep going?
No, we just got the one in here. It's a suggestion more than anything else. Oh, my microphone is muted. Hello. Right, there we go.
There he is.
I exist.
good day. We've got one suggestion through from Recip. He says, I think Bosch should make more tool combos like competitors do, like carpentry sets, automotive sets, etc.
Well, let's cover that one now. I mean, yes, you're right. It would be good if we had different kits for different professions. Now, we have played with the idea of making electricians kits, as well as plumbers kits, HVAC kits, and there have been a few out there in the market. A lot of it goes through our distribution, so maybe some of our dealers will do specific kits, and it has been something we do.
There was carpentry kits as well when it came to the wood champs. We brought out 12-volt planer as well as a 12-volt router, and those two are fantastic machines to put together in a bundle. Whether that will come back, not sure.
Well, again, remember the whole point of these live streams is to get feedback directly from you guys. Pop it in the chat. We want to know what kinds of kits you're looking for, what kind of professions you're doing, and what kind of machines you would really want to see in a kit. I presume you're going to be talking about things like twin packs and the bag kits, the multi-piece bag kits that I think we still do. I think it's 4, 5, 6, and 7 8-piece kits out there in the market. So again, give us some feedback and we'll pop it along and pass it on to the product managers so they can have a look at the information coming from the UK and see whether or not we can produce those things. Okay, what else we do? Keep going?
Yep, keep going.
All right, we'll keep going. So let's trade up now from the compact machine to the one I think that's behind me, which is the GSA 18 VLI. So this has been I'll put it down first.
There you go. This is the standard look that you'll get from most reciprocating saws. Most manufacturers come up with the similar sort of solution. You can see it's different from the one that we were previously looking at. So with these machines, you have a linear feedback from the front of the tool there. You may well think when these sort of machines you've got a better visible view of the blade when you're actually holding the machine. But yeah, it's all very similar. It's a similar operation. This has a slightly different counterweight in it, but they all have counterweights of their own design.
Yeah, as Dan says, it's an ergonomics that you're very familiar with. The ability to choke up really close to the bit here, so you can really drive the machine how you like. You've got a good firm grip. It's variable speed, but it's also got 2 speeds on the top here. So you've got a first gear and you've got a second gear. So you've got 2,400 SPM up to 27 SPM on here. Other different features, I mean, it's got a slightly different grip, as I said. Now this is a TPE, this is a thermal plastic, so it's a nice insulator here. Keeps you from, obviously the machines get quite warm when you're using them.
The gearboxes especially on these.
Yeah, exactly. So that keeps that nice and cool, keeps the machine from getting too hot, but also doesn't transfer too much heat to you when you're working.
Obviously you should be wearing gloves when you're using any of these machines anyway, but yes.
Exactly, but it's even without gloves you can feel that's nice and tacky, that's a good feel, you're not going to lose grip of that. Now when it comes to the actual attachment of the accessory, it's slightly different, but very similar. I'll let Dan demonstrate that.
The advantage of this machine is you don't have to actually touch the blade when you come to removing it. So when you potentially been cutting a piece of metal or even wood for any particular length of time, the blade's going to get hot. So if you put the new blade in there, literally, you just push it. So the blade's accepted in there, you push a little spring plate back here, and that locks the blade in and the outside collar rotates there to lock it in place. When it comes to removing it, all you have to do is twist the collar, if I can get it at the right angle here, and the blade just pops out. So you haven't got to worry about touching that hot blade.
Sorry. Exactly. So I'll do it again at a distance so you can see that it's sprung. Oh, lock it in first.
Put it in first. And there you go. So yeah, you don't have to touch the blade. Maybe give it a bit of a shake. A good piece of advice with these machines is to keep the tool holder clean. You will get a build up of dust and dirt around there, but it's a good idea to brush any of that away, give it a quick spray with WD-40. Other releasing agents are available, just to maintain the mechanism.
All right, so bigger machine, it's more powerful as we've described. So now we're looking up to a depth of cut up to 250 millimeters in wood. It's 130 millimeters in metal profile or tubing. Again, much more powerful compared to the previous ones. I think if I double check, it's a little bit heavier. It's about 2.9 kilos. You can feel it. It's a bit more robust feeling, a bit heavier. And in addition to that, you're looking at, what am I looking at again? A stroke rate of about 2,700 SPM, so it's a much faster machine. The stroke distance, the stroke length is about 28 millimeters. So everything's beefed up on this machine.
That's it. I mean, the last one we looked at was 21. So yeah, they're gradually getting more and more stroke rates on these. The foot on this machine, I don't know whether you mentioned it, is actually fixed. It's hinged, so you can saw against the material. You can rock the machine backwards and forwards to increase the speed of the cut. it's another good advantage of these machines over and above the last ones we looked at.
Now, if I was going to have a drawback, the only drawback you have, and this is generally speaking when it comes to saber saws in general, especially the traditional design, is that any kind of saber sawing is going to produce quite a bit of vibration. And these machines, in their traditional look, are a bit, if I'm being honest, they're a bit harsh. We've obviously done our best to minimize that by having a counterweight system, try and reduce that, but we're looking at the region about 20 meters per second squared. So it's a higher value compared to the more compact machines, but it is a much more aggressive machine, so that makes a lot of sense.
That's largely down to the byproduct of having the motor and everything in line. So
Yeah.
again, for this particular design, there's not really much you can do about that other than changing the weight of the counterweight.
Exactly right. But again, the whole point here is that we've done our absolute best to reduce that at all time, making sure that you guys are comfortable, but more importantly, making sure that you can use this machine for the longest possible while staying healthy and obviously legal. Okay, so now that we've made a little mention about halves and the fact that this one, although it's a very powerful machine, it's been in the range since the beginning of the 18 volt range for us, and obviously it takes its design from the GSA 11, I think, and the 1300, isn't 1100 and the 1300.
Yep.
So it's a very, very traditional design. However, we have changed it and we have had a much, I don't know how to describe it other than a radically different machine that's been a really great, I won't say flagship, well, no, not necessarily a flagship machine for us, but it's been a really popular machine out there. We call it a Cayman, but really its name is the GSA 18 VLI 32.
Yeah, you'll find that
V32.
the Americans they name their machine a lot cooler names than we do, going by with normally animals. So that's the reason why this one's called the Cayman, largely. But yeah, you can see the design of this particular machine is a real departure from the previous designs that we've had. It's got a lot of really good features in here as well. The mechanism inside the gearbox here is completely different than what we've been used to before with the last machines. You can see they've offset the motor down the bottom here, and you also on this model introducing pendulum action again. So something that you would normally have reserved for the jigsaw market for rapid removal of material following the cut or during the cut. We can take full usage of that through this particular machine.
That's right. You see it's got a two-stage pendulum action. This is the only machine in the range that has a two-stage. There are some other features that we've got. A nice little safety. You can just about see that in the trigger. So it's got a two-stage trigger here where you've got a little safety and then you can pull the trigger there. That means you don't have a lock-on switch that you can accidentally lock on and then you can accidentally pull the trigger. This is much easier. You cannot easily pull that trigger.
Again, really, when you're wearing gloves, you don't want to be fumbling around with multiple switches. It's a lot easier with that one.
In addition, you can see on the top here, we have a speed selector wheel. So that allows us to go all the way from a very slow speed up to the maximum stroke rate of 2,500 strokes per minute.
Yeah, with some materials, when you're coming through cutting PVC and stuff like that, you need to keep the speed down low.
That's right.
But obviously have a sharp tooth for the blade. So being able to control the speed like that for the particular cut and the material that you're using is a real advantage with this machine.
Okay, on the top, you can see another thing that we've probably borrowed from the Americans. They do like a good rafter hook.
That's it. I wouldn't hook it to your trousers. It will pull them down. With the battery fitted, I mean, even if you updated this with a ProCORE battery, it's not a bad weight, but
no, not at all. When it's coming to the front end here, you can see we've got the same thing. You've got a very nice insulated front guard here, essentially, where you can choke up on the blade really close, get a lot of control. It's a very nice, comfortable grip.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the adjustment of the foot, you can see actually there's some slight changes here. We've now got the ability to press the button, and then we can.
Yeah.
You can slide the foot out. So that's the first one we've got actually in the range.
That's the first one in the range with the adjustable foot. That, of course, allows you to use more of the blade. So if you're cutting quite close to the foot, being able to move the foot slightly will actually present a new set of teeth to the cut. So you can really use a blade when you're cutting, more of the blade when you're cutting through a thinner item.
That's right. And the blade fitment, although it's still toolless, it's still SDS, there's a slight change, and actually, again, making it very easy to use when you use big gloves. So you don't have to try and get your fingers necessarily into the mechanism. Instead now, we've got this nice big external collar that allows us to open up the mechanism.
We really want to keep your fingers away from the blade mechanism on these. Yeah, dead easy to fit. Lift the collar up, pop the blade in, and just release it. There you go, locked fully in place. So that's, when it comes to removing, it's basically the same thing. You pull it up, give the machine a shake, and it will drop out. So again, we're back to a tool-free removal and installation mechanism on the machine.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to specs, again, this is it's a higher spec machine. Not only has it got lower vibration, so we're talking at vibration level of only around 13 meters per second squared.
Yeah.
For a machine this powerful, that's incredible. That's really great. And that's, as Danny said, that's partly to do, not partly, that's deliberately due to the fact that we've changed the internals. We've got a little video that we'll show you. Now, when it comes to the machine itself, it does 230 millimeters in wood, depth of cut, 175 mil in metal profile and steel pipes. The stroke length is in the name. It's a 32 millimeter stroke length on the blade. And as I said, with the variable speed trigger, as well as the speed controller, it goes all the way up to 2,500 strokes per minute.
Yeah.
So it's an outstanding machine. Absolutely love this machine.
Yeah.
So
we did get a slight bit of criticism with this machine when it came to doing plunge cuts into timber, but there's a solution for that. Because the blades can be fitted upside down, you just turn the machine over. So you can still perform a plunge cut. There you go. By just putting the blade in upside down. So for ease of use, there's no real drawback when it comes to that.
No. Now, we've actually had a lot of success with getting these machines into the fire services. They really like this machine.
Yes.
It's partly because, A, they have the ability to, it's safe because they have the safety trigger here. That's obviously important to them on the job. But the main thing is, again, it's because of the low vibration this machine puts out.
That's it.
Because obviously they're going to be using this tool a lot, especially if they're very busy on the job.
Yeah, they don't want to be reaching their maximum HABS limits in the middle of cutting somebody out of a vehicle.
No, not at all.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
They want to be able to use the machine for a prolonged period of time because that's a critical
so we've
requirement.
we've been very happy with being able to introduce a lot of these machines to the engines, as well as quite a few of the accessories blades that we'll talk about later, because we've got some excellent blades within the Expert range, the carbide Expert range. So we talked about the inside of this machine, but I think, Rob, you've got a video that we can play that's showing the actual internal mechanism compared to a machine that doesn't have it. So what we're going to show here is two side by side. We've got a non-branded competitor tool against this particular machine, the GSA 18V-32. As you can see here, the amount of vibration transferred to the liquid is clear. And you can even see in that video, you can see the machine barely looks like it's moving.
This is the internal mechanism. So instead of a more of a linear sort of throwing motion, you've got a rotary gear built into the machine there. So that removes some of that linear action that you're going to feel down your arm with the other machines. Again, you can see the counterweight just underneath there as well.
Yeah, trust me, anyone out there on the stream, anyone out there that's watching us, you know, if you've used a Recip saw, especially a more traditional one, or maybe even some of our competitors, you know, you really know if you're using a Recip saw, you really feel it. And you don't have to use a machine for very long until you're starting to really feel like the consequences of that damage, or not damage, but the actual vibration.
The interesting part is you won't even feel it whilst you're doing it. It's the moment you stop, then you suddenly realise you've already done the damage, but it certainly hits you.
If perhaps you've maybe had a chance to see either myself or Dan or any of our professional colleagues at any of the events we've been doing recently, we have actually had probably both machines, the GSA 18 VLI up against the 32 here, and just having one in each hand or trying one then the other, you realise that there's a huge difference in the amount of vibration you get from the 20 meters per second on the GSA 18 VLI. And this is 13, doesn't sound like a big difference, but it's a huge difference because vibration it's exponential, the amount of feeling you get from it. And because vibration's quite dangerous and it's a cumulative thing that happens to you, especially if you're using these machines day in, day out, it really, really makes a difference if you can try and reduce the amount of vibration that you're getting.
A lot of people out there will have heard of white finger and things like that can be caused from not only the use of air tools but vibrating air tools. They can cause some serious capillary damage in your limbs.
That's right. Yeah, you're looking at nerve damage, capillary damage, or even if you're using the machine a lot, you could get musculoskeletal damage just from having the vibration throughout your body all the time like that. Especially if you're working with it for prolonged periods. So let's see. Should we pause quickly for some other questions, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had one from Lewis Alexander. Good to have you back.
Oh, yeah.
He said, well, to be fair, it was a statement to begin with. Sorry, a bit late today. Didn't know this event was on. Yeah, we were a little bit short on the social media there. It was a last-minute notice, but that's fine. He said, I have a compact Recip. Does a great job for some of the smaller jobs. Wouldn't mind this new model, though. So.
The new model. I mean, you wonder whether you're not talking about this particular model, or wonder whether or not you're talking about the machine that I think we sneaked it out last time on the last live stream, which was Woodworking Part 2. If you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it. That was an excellent video. We had a two-parter to the woodworking, and both of them are worth watching. The machine we snuck out then is actually the machine we're going to talk about in a second, after any more questions.
Brilliant. So Tom Wilkinson says Bosch seems to be lagging behind on a few tools that we Bosch fans would love to see, such as a 165mm brushless circular saw, a framing nail gun, and an 18-volt router. Any thought on these?
Well, yes, the router we covered, and we agree that's coming without a doubt. We know that's important. When it comes to the framing nailer or first fix nailer, we have seen one in development, so we know that's on the way.
Yep.
We obviously have just launched our second fix nailer, which is an excellent machine. We also have a concrete nailer in the works. So,
Yeah.
so that means at some point next year, we're hoping that we'll have all three. Well, we'll have those 2 new additional machines to the range. But it's still early days. We know we're going to get the concrete nailer next year.
Yeah, we know that's not going to round off the complete package. There will be some other nailers coming in the future.
Exactly.
But so far as the roadmap goes for releasing, those 3 are definitely on there.
Yeah, if it's anything like the new second fix nailer, the GNH 18V-64M, then I'm really looking forward to whatever they bring out, whatever Bosch is going to bring out for a first fix nailer, because the second fixer is really good. Yeah, really good. Okay.
Cool. So we had one from Stuart Andrews, and he said, would like to see a smaller 10-inch axial glide 18-volt saw. Axial glide. Is that getting into woodworking again?
Well, that's talking about like we've got the 305 or the 12-inch glide miter saw, the double bevel miter saw. A smaller one, maybe.
We've stepped away from 10-inch, I think, for a little while now. We're doing 10-inch in table saws, but so far as a chop saws or miter saws, compound miters, I've not heard of anything.
No. If we were going to do it, it would probably be an 8-inch, but I don't know whether or not it really warrants a glide system.
No, there is that.
But well, it would be great because that would make an 8-inch miter saw even more compact, easier to get around. But I haven't seen any plans for it, I'm afraid. So, but if we do, we'll let you know first.
Lewis continues and he says the GSA 18V LIC does have a fair bit of vibration to it. Would love to change it for the 18V-32 as it's a machine I rely on for slot notching. So it's good to hear that that would be useful. And Vacuum comes back and he says, is the blade attachment easy to clean or detachable? I believe this might be on the latest one you just mentioned. I sometimes get it stuck with dirt and mud with the corded Bosch Recip saw.
Yeah, so far as cleaning the mechanism, we usually suggest bit of WD-40, bit of a sort of maybe an old paintbrush, something like that, something with a fairly stiff bristle, just to knock most of that material out of there. Really, it's something that needs kept on top of. Obviously, if you're going to add a lubricant to it, it's going to attract more dust. So, adding the lubricant and then not cleaning it is going to cause you more problems. So, you're looking at a continuous set of maintenance on it from keeping it clean and keeping it lubricated.
Nice. And Stuart continues with a couple more suggestions for what we should be producing. Planer thicknesser, that would be a serious machine for us.
Yeah, we'd definitely have one of them in the workshop if we could. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And 18-volt biscuit jointer. So
yes, there was talk about a biscuit jointer. I think maybe it was from accessories asking about whether we do the accessories for it, which I think we do.
I think we also had someone on a previous stream asking about an 18-volt biscuit jointer because we've only really had the mains powered one. We haven't had any cordless ones currently.
No, I mean we do a range with Floyd for the biscuit blade, the jointer blades. We've got a biscuit jointer in the storeroom, but it's quite an old one. But I haven't seen anything new in the range coming regarding that.
I mean, I don't know whether or not guys might have seen some previous announcements out there in regards to AmpShare, which is our platform in sharing our ProCORE batteries with a number of other manufacturers out there. Now, I don't know whether or not the current range actually have people that have biscuit jointers or whether or not that might be in the future. But if we don't produce one, there is a good chance that maybe we'll be reaching out to a number of other manufacturers out there that might have one and may want to run our battery platform. So for you guys out there that already have our batteries, that'd be a really good benefit in the lieu of us producing our own one. Okay.
That's us all caught up for the moment. So if you've got any more questions, just put them in the chat and we'll get back to them later in the live stream. Okay,
so the next machine the next machine in line is a new machine. It's only just launched as of, when was it, Rob? It's only just launched as of, was it September, I think?
Yeah,
so this T, and I always talk in T's, I always forget which month the T is in.
Yep.
But we finally launched a BITURBO 18-volt brushless Recip saw. I've got it. No, Dan's got it. You've got it on your side.
I've got it over here. I've flushed away. There you go. So you can tell by the size of the body on this particular machine. that it's a bi-turbo model. So we've got a nice big 18-volt motor in there,
That's right.
powering this machine. Obviously coupled with a twin-layer ProCORE battery, or even the 3-layer. So you could go 5.5, 8, or 12 amp hour. Makes for a formidable cutting machine. The tool holding fixture on this is slightly different from the one we did before. So it hasn't got the collar that goes around it. It's got the blade holding system of the the GSA 18V-Li, so the older one there. So you just literally push the blade in and it's locked in like that. But to remove it, you've got to pop your fingers in there and rotate that. So that will fire the blade out. So again, it's a touch-free system of ejecting the blade for that heat dispersal.
Yeah,
point.
I believe they actually upgraded the spring, although maintenance would mean that the GSA 18V-Li would probably still spring it out. I do believe that the spring's a bit more powerful in this model.
Yes, the other thing is when we were talking about maintenance before, you really want to make sure this channel just here is cleaned out, that one there, and also the ring just in front of it there, I'm trying to get to a point where you can see it, just in there, that needs to be cleaned out of material in there. As long as that's cleaned and lubricated, this should last you. They're a bit of a trick to replace them. We'd always suggest going to our Bosch service centre to have them replaced, because it's a bit of a jumble of bits in there, so it takes a bit of getting used to put them together.
So this current model is very similar to the traditional machines out there. I'll be very keen to see whether or not we're going to have something like the 32 come out in bi-turbo.
Yep.
For the time being, we have the straight system. You'll see that there are some slight changes. The first thing being now, this machine has a pendulum action, just like the GSA 18V-Li, sorry, V32. So you have a two-stage, or sorry, off and on.
Yeah.
So now that gives this, now you've got the ability to work faster and more aggressively in material, especially for demo work. That's great. Something slightly different from the previous model is now, instead of the fixed foot that was on the GSA 18V-Li, we now have the ability to loosen these two bolts and then slide that out.
It's kind of a mix between the changeable height of the foot and the fixed. So you can move it. Obviously, it takes a little bit longer. Just got to get in there with an Allen key and just slacken off a couple of bolts. They slides about all over the place. I think it comes with
There's
with
the Allen key. Stored on the machine, so you don't have to worry about having to find it or lose it. It's stored right on the chassis there, no problems.
Those bolts you'll find are actually quite long for a reason, so you don't undo it too much and then the bolt falls out. So yeah, you really only have to slacken it off slightly for you to be able to move it.
Right. Up on the top here, you've got your simple lock off switch, or lock on, no, lock switch to prevent accidentally setting the trigger off. So push it to one side and there you go.
We
You've got your variable speed.
wouldn't usually recommend storing it with a battery on it, but if you do and you have to, you can isolate the switch there, so it's not going to come on in the back of your van.
That's right. And then again, something from the Americans, they do love their raft hook. This machine also has one, so again, nice that you can hook that on the edge of a ladder or whatever you're working on. Don't have to hold the whole machine. Although the machine's not necessarily a very heavy machine, coming in at only 3.2 kilos, and that's quite a lot of power for. There's a lot of power in this machine for not much weight. So we're looking at, again, the 28 means that it's a 28mm stroke length. It has a no stroke rate of 2900 SPM, and that gives you the ability to plunge cut into wood up to 230mm and working metal up to 150mm. So that's
quite a considerable cut.
And a lot of that is all, and again, it's still running very efficiently because it's a bi-turbo machine, so it's being used in conjunction with any of our ProCORE batteries from 5.5, the 8s, and the 12s. Although it will run the normal ProCORE 4 amp hour, or it will also run on any of the original 18-volt batteries, the cool pack batteries, all the way from 1.5, I think, all the way up to 6 amp hour. We would always recommend running it on one of these 3 batteries. That allows you to get the maximum amount of power out of the bi-turbo machine, giving you up to, in this particular model, up to about 1100 watts of corded equivalent power. Okay.
Can I jump in here?
Of course you can.
Question? So Tom Wilkinson actually says, sorry to bombard, but ProCORE batteries, I found them to be amazing. Have a 4, a 5.5, an 8 and a 12. Are they all the same power, or do some have different technologies or cells in?
Right, so I'll answer that one very quickly.
You can grab that one.
All the bi-turbo batteries sorry, not the BITURBO base, my apologies. All the ProCORE 18-volt batteries are all running on the 21700 cell.
Yeah.
You might have a few of the much older cells, well, I say much older. We had a few N-Eraser batteries that went out before we had ProCORE. Those were 6.3 amp hour, and I think we also had the ProCORE 7 amp hour.
Yes.
Now those were running 2700 cells, but all the batteries we produce now within ProCORE are all running 21700 cells.
Yeah.
The old cool packs used to run the 18s, well, I say used to, they still run the 18650 cell. Now what you've got with a 4 amp hour battery is you have a single layer of 21700 cells. This means this battery can output approximately the equivalent of 45 watts of power. That's ideal for running a machine, a non-BITURBO machine. What did I say?
45 amps.
What did I say? Watts. Yeah, sorry. 45 amps. That's ideal for running a traditional machine such as a normal 18 volt combi or anything within the old non-BITURBO range. This is a good battery, and this is basically running the equivalent of a double layer cool pack battery, such as a 3 amp, a 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially what you're getting is you're getting the power of a double layer battery out of a single layer ProCORE 4 amp. When you move up to these ProCOREs, these are dual layer, or in the case of a 12 amp hour, it's a triple layer of cells. You're now able to get up to 90 amps of power, and that's what you're looking at. It's not just talking about voltage and amp hours, such as voltage, is power, amp hour is runtime. The third element that we really need to try to explain to people is the ability to draw more amps out of these battery cells, and because of that means we can run these really big machines all the way up to, say, the GCM 305 GDC.
Yeah.
That's up to the recorded equivalent of 2,000 watts recorded equivalent power, and that's huge. And we wouldn't be able to do it unless we're running the ProCORE battery cells, as I say, the dual layer and triple layer cells, batteries.
I'll continue then, seeing as I've caught you there. Lawrence actually comes in from beyond and says, in regards to the 10-inch miter saw, it is on the roadmap.
Oh, is it?
Is that a 10-inch glide?
He says 10-inch miter saw. I can't define any more than that, I'm afraid.
Well, we'll get more information and we'll put it in the chat, because obviously you can see me and Dan are getting excited.
Yeah.
Always nice to know what's coming around the corner.
The biscuit jointer is in early development.
I have heard rumours.
And of course, the GSA 18V-28 Recip launched in September.
I was right.
Nice and easy. So then we've got a few more suggestions. Demir says 18-volt biscuit jointer. Love the new one from DeWalt. So yeah, people want these tools. Alistair Brown says, good afternoon. Are there any plans to extend the 12-volt Pro range rather than create more 18-volt angle grinders? Do we have expansion plans on the 12-volt system?
There are a number of 12-volt machines coming. I think we have a grinder of sorts coming out.
Oh, yes, yep.
We haven't got a replacement for a normal. We're not going to have a normal shaped 12-volt angle grinder, if that's what you're asking. We obviously have a GWS12.
It's more of a detail grinder,
That's
really,
right.
isn't it? It's a more of a flat grinder, similar to sort of a small polisher, but it'll take grinding discs on there as well. So.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, the 12-volt range is really important to us. There's a few innovations coming out. We're really looking forward to. I think it's going to come out early next year. Is we're going to get a SDS attachment for our very famous FlexiClick system. It's about 0.9 joules. I think you can work up to about 8 mil fixings in concrete, which is ample. So there are multiple things that are going to be coming out within the 12-volt range. Yeah. Again, as soon as we get samples, we'll be doing a live stream about them.
Yeah, the idea of getting an SDS fitment for a 12 volts fantastic. I mean, it's something that we've been missing for a while now.
That's right.
So yeah, be able to fill out the range a bit.
So then Lewis follows up with the biscuit jointer stuff. He says, regarding the biscuit jointer, at present with the PowerShare battery system, in fact, no manufacturer has listed one. So yes, we do need one in the catalogue. I miss my old mains Bosch. We used to do one, I didn't realise.
That's right, yes, we did.
Very cool.
Well, I mean, my point about the amp share is that we haven't just, we haven't finalised who we've got. We've obviously got a large amount of suppliers that are jumping onto the amp share, but we're not just going to rest on our laurels there. We're obviously reaching out to lots of different manufacturers. So maybe if we don't produce one, maybe one of the other manufacturers that we'll have jump on board with our amp share will also already have one in the range.
It seems every time I'm looking at the database, there's a new name on there. So we're trying to keep up to date with it at the moment anyway.
Exactly.
So.
Awesome. So then we've got one from ZZ Studio. He says, I demolished half of my house with a GSA 18V LIC, used the 1100E for the roof truss, both delivered.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very nice.
obviously we're only talking about our 18-volt cordless machines, or sorry, 18-volt and the 12-volt cordless machines. We haven't talked about the mains ones, which probably maybe we should have added. But yeah, they're excellent machines. They are real powerhouses, but the main point what we're trying to do here is deliver that amount of power, but in a cordless package.
Yeah.
And we've got a few more that's unrelated to Recip, but I'm going to throw them at you anyway. Alistair Brown said, I noticed an 18-volt cutout tool similar to the RotoZip on the German press release. Is this planned to come out in the UK?
Yes.
Yes. Short answer.
The GCU 18V. Now, that should be, that's going to be slated for launch early next year.
Yeah,
So-
got a good set of dust extraction equipment for that as well. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it's part of our new, we call it our drywall offensive, which is a number of tools which are designed for drywalling,
Yep.
and that is going to be a key machine in it. And you're right, it's very, very similar to RotoZip, a Bosch acquisition, believe it or not, back in the day.
Very cool. So then Paul B says, will we be seeing sometime in the future an 18-volt M-class extractor?
Yes, I think we've touched on this pretty much every live stream.
Well, it's good because you are right. An M-class dust extractor is very important, and we are the production team have been working really hard to get that out to you guys as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The machine's going to be it's the gas 18V 12 MC, I think it is.
Yeah.
MC. So it's an M-class 18-volt BITURBO dust extractor, and it's also connected.
Yeah.
And really, you know, we're a bit nerdy because we're trainers, but it's the connected feature really interests us, as well as the health and safety with the M-class. The ability now, hopefully, I say hopefully, the ability now to sync your connected tool directly to the dust extractor
Yeah.
and automatically switch it on. That's going to be a real time saver for you guys out there.
When it comes to like the kickback notifications through the connected features anyway, it's really quick. So I don't imagine there'll be much of, in the way of a delay for an automatic switch on feature.
Yeah.
No, I think it'd be pretty quick.
Those two factors, M-class 18-volt, excellent. Bluetooth connectivity, even better. Yeah.
Right, there's a couple more before I let you jump back to your recips. DPlats14 says, is there a 12-volt soldering iron in the pipeline?
No, not that I've seen.
No,
unfortunately not. There are many things that would make sense within the 12-volt range. A soldering iron doesn't sound like a bad one. I think the nearest we have would be looking to our Dremel colleagues.
Yes, yeah,
But-
VersaFlame. Or the Versatip.
Versatip, yeah. So not within the Bosch Professional range. I don't think there's one actually, I'm not sure there's one in the HG range
No,
either.
I
So
haven't
do
seen
you know
one
what?
there.
That's a good comment. Let's see whether or not we can pass that up the line and see whether or not that has any legs.
And then we've got one from Rahim, it's probably for you, Dan. It says, is it possible to swap drive anvils on GDS 18V-1050H and or the GDS 18V-1000? I have the 3/4 inch anvil, but mostly using the 1/2 inch.
Right, with that, I believe the gearbox housings are completely different size for the anvil. So the 3/4 inch one is a lot larger. So it wouldn't just be a matter of changing the anvils over. You'd have to change the gearboxes. But so far as the attachment internally is concerned, I wouldn't have a clue. We haven't actually taken one apart yet to have a good look inside. We wouldn't, as a rule, advise modifying our machines in any way. Obviously, they're regulated when they leave the factory. You have to jump through a lot of legal loopholes to get these machines created legally and safely. If we were to go around suggesting changing bits over for other machines, then it negates that entire safety feature that we have. So I wouldn't advise doing it.
At the very least, you're going to avoid your warranty, and you wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were using the 3/4 inch and you were using 1/2 inch, I would suggest going for an adapter, an external adapter that doesn't modify the machine in any safety ways.
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's everything from my side for now.
All right,
Back to you guys.
So we've covered the machines. We've obviously made a big deal out of our BITURBO brushless machine here. Again, being able to deliver about up to 1,100 watts of corded equivalent power. That's excellent. That's right in line with one of our contributors' messages about their GSA 1100. So this is basically a cordless equivalent of that. Although I must admit, there's probably a few extra features. Notably being the fact that you've got your pendulum function there. So there's a few extra features on this machine that make it in line with that old corded machine. So I think we've talked about the machines, but we obviously don't want to leave our accessories colleagues out there. What we'd like to do is just have a little chat talking about some of the accessories we've got out there. Now, we've got some basic blades, which are the ones that typically will come with some of the machines, like the machines that we discussed earlier, the GSA 12 and the compact GSA, the GSA 18 VLIC. And we're talking about different kinds of blades that come with it, such as what we've got first. For example, like a top for wood. Well, these ones don't come with it, for example.
No, this is a high carbon steel blade. You can always see on the blades, if I can get the...
I'll hold it for you.
Got there? You got that? So yeah, on the hilt of the blade, just there, you've got an HCS. Stands for high carbon steel. This is a one-piece blade, so it's a blade with machine teeth in it. So it's not. There's no specific change in materials between these blades. So it's yeah, it's just a straightforward wood cutting blade. But they do have, honestly, they do have fantastically sharp teeth. The same we would suggest with any blade. Always wear gloves when you're putting it in or out of the machine.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say a very, very productive blade, very progressive.
Yes.
Now, next one is one of the ones we do actually often have in some kits. Maybe it's not the heavy for wood, but it would be a multi-material blade.
Yeah, so it'd be the similar sort of colouring to that. That's not a high carbon steel blade. You can see BIM on there. That's a bimetallic blade. So with these particular blades, they have a high carbon steel backing to it. So this portion up the top here, down to the teeth, would be a high carbon steel. Right at the bottom, you'd have a harder material there, a harder wearing material. So yeah, hence the name bimetallic.
Yeah, this is going to be your multi-purpose general demolition blade. If you're working in wood and timber, you can just go smashing. Well, I say smashing. You'll glide through all kinds of wood and metal materials.
Yeah, put a bit of demolition when it comes to pulling out windows, that sort of thing. Old frames.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. And the final one we got here, was the final one for this particular level of blades. We've got a flexible for metal blade there. Again, that's a bimetallic blade, same as the other one. You can see there, but just a lot finer teeth there for cutting metal. That's quite a flexible blade as well, if you can give it a quick bend there. So you can see, you can sort of bend it underneath materials if you've got limited access to, say, you're cutting the bolts out underneath strapping, stuff like that. You can bend that blade a fair old bit. Exactly. It takes a bit of battering, that one.
Now, even just amongst these three different blade types we've got, so top for wood or purely wood blades, wood metal blades, and then specialist for metal blades, we've got obviously these blades here, but we have a wide range of different lengths. Some have different tips or slightly different teeth as well, depending on what kind of blades you've got out there. We tried to represent a few of them here, but there are plenty of different kinds of saber saw accessory blades that we've got out there in the market. We just couldn't get them all on stages. It would be far too many. No. I mean, one of the example ones we might have on the front there, we've got our, is it the brick, isn't it? We've got the this endurance for brick.
Bottom one here. Quite often used for cutting breeze blocks down to size, but I think we've done red brick with this, haven't we? It's quite formidable going through red brick. So
we're just putting out for the close-up camera again. We'll just put it up here, and you can see it's a substantial size blade, and that's really what we're trying to get to in regards to the fact that you've got different kinds of accessories that you can put into saber saws nowadays, and that allows you to work in all kinds of different material, making the modern saber saw or recip saw a very versatile tool to have in your tool bag. Definitely. Now, we've talked about basically a number of the basic blades that we've got out there that are the high carbon steel or the bimetal blades, but really what we should talk about, it would be remiss if we didn't talk about our expert range of accessories. Now, most of the recip saw blades that we're going to have in the expert range are going to be carbide technology. Now, the important thing about carbide is it's a much more robust or hard wearing material, which means you can do a number of things. You can work in materials that other blades just simply cannot. They'll just dull, the blades will go, the teeth will burn out and you won't make any progress. However, with a tungsten carbide teeth, you will be able to cut through that material. In addition, you also get the benefit that because it's tungsten carbide material again, it lasts a lot longer. So not only will it cut material other blades will just simply give out, you'll actually get a lot more cuts per cost per pound or cuts per blade out of your accessories. Yeah,
with carbide it really has revolutionised the ability to use blades to cut materials which you wouldn't usually cut with a recip blade. It's opened up an entire new sort of ability to use this machine for cutting. That's right. I think you've got an example of it down there on the floor.
That's right, yes. So, as an example, we've got a bit of, I think it was the Jubilee line, and assure me that is not a lightweight bit. That is not lightweight.
No.
And as you can see here, we used one of the belugas, we call it.
Yep, with the belugas. This is a thick, tough metal blade from our expert range. There's carbide teeth there, but that was responsible for cutting through that piece of railway line there.
That's right.
So,
That was in a single blade, a single cut. Took about 4.5 minutes. It was amazingly fast, surprisingly. We tried it with some bimetal blades. You'd barely scratch the surface trying to use a normal bimetal blade to get through that, because this is seriously hard metal.
yeah, you'll be looking at packs and packs to get through something like that. It was quite a challenge to anything. I mean, it's actually quicker than cutting with a grinder. We did try it with the grinder the other time. Other than setting fire to the apron that I was wearing as well, it took ages to get through it.
And that was a large angle. That's one of our GWS, was it, I think a 22 to 30, so a 9-inch grinder, and it took absolutely ages. This fraction of the time. And more importantly, remember we were talking to you about vibration and time, trigger time on applications. Not only does the amount of vibration the machine create important, more importantly, how much vibration is being created by the accessory, or how long you're working on the material. If this took half an hour, that's probably you done for the day. With these blades, you could easily do 4-5 cuts before you run out of trigger time.
I'm not sure if you can
Turn
see
it
that.
sideways, Chris.
Well, this just to show
let's
the
see the
size.
thickness of it.
Oh God, I'm going to mock the table now. I'm going to have to resand it.
Yeah, so it's a substantial bit of material that worked through.
If I hold that down, I'll try and get that down to the table or on the close-up if you could see it.
I'll bring it here.
All the teeth are present corrected. We haven't actually lost a single tooth on that.
It's hard for you to see, but
there you go.
no. That was one of the big surprises for us as well, because obviously part of our job here is to really torture test our tools and our accessories. That is seriously impressive. And you would not be able to get away with that if it wasn't for the carbide technology that we put in our expert blades.
Yeah, I mean, it's well worth an initial payment to try it out, because I really just admit you'll be genuinely surprised at how long these blades last and how sharp they are.
That's right. Right, so Rob, I think you might have another video lined up that we can just show the viewers there. Just a little introduction video on some of our expert accessories for our saber saws. So as you can see in that video, there was plenty of different materials, and also that comparison between, although, you know, the bimetal blades, for example, you know, they're good blades, don't get me wrong, they are excellent blades, they're excellent multi-material blades as well, but it just, you know, the difference between the normal bimetals and the carbide is night and day, and the video kind of shows it that. We've got loads of experience, and probably there's plenty of you guys out there as well that have had a chance to use our expert carbide technology blades in your everyday work, and you'll probably realise very quickly that you're getting a lot of work done in a much shorter amount of time, and more importantly, although yes, the blades are more expensive initially, you're getting so much more cuts per blade than you would with your traditional bimetal blades.
Yeah, the advantage again with the vibration, obviously less time on the tool, then frees you up to do other things.
That's right, exactly. So let's have a quick look at some of the other blades that we've got in the expert range. We'll just do a quick punch into the close. So let's grab whichever one you want first, Dan.
There you go. We'll do the thick, tough metal one before. That's the one we've shown already. So that was the sort of a medium size. They're available in multiple sizes. We've got a little tiny baby one there. That's that one. So that's a tiny one there, but perfect for the original 12-volt one that we showed. That's I believe 100 mil, that one. So very short. All the way up to the 300 mil. So that one, I don't think you can get that all on one screen. That's quite long. That
You
one.
have to zoom out now. There we go.
So yeah, that's the longest one that we do. So
Right.
yeah, I mean obviously when you're using a blade of this length, you want to tailor the length of the blade to the thickness of the material. You don't want the blade springboarding on the other side of the material. So
You want to get a blade that is longer than the material, but not by too much.
Yeah.
And also you have to factor in a little extra just for the actual distance that the reciprocating blade will move backwards and forwards. You don't want it too short because you don't want it to catch in the material. You want it just long enough to go completely through and not too much wobble at the end.
That's
right.
it. Yep.
So you want as many teeth engaged as you can get.
So that's three of the sizes that you can get. Obviously, there's other in between ones there. Right, we talked about window demolition as well. So we have a window demolition blade there. You can see that's got a similar tooth per inch, slightly less tooth per inch on that particular. Just chasing the blade around there.
Yeah.
You can see that's also fitted with the plunge notch at the front here. So there you go, I'll take my finger away, you can see it there. So if you're going to do a plunge cut into material, you want to look for a blade which has got that sort of profile at the end as well, because that allows you to drop that blade in a lot cleaner to the material, cut straight in there and immediately do the plunge. And the last one I've got here to hand at the moment is a multi-material one. So similar size, looks very similar, but you'll find that that's even less teeth per inch than the last one there. So that's even finer, but that'll cut through pretty much anything from wood, metal, plastic, aluminium, and any other sort of metal material you can. I have actually seen stainless steel blades as well that we do, and I think you look like you've got another one there.
Just going to pull out a few because obviously, as we discussed, there are so many blades within just the normal Recip saw blade range, but just within the expert range is almost more than we've got time for because it's nearly 5 o'clock already.
Yeah.
But here's another example here. We've got an expert hollow brick blade, and you can see again with carbide technology, different tooth profile, again deliberately designed for that specific application.
You can see on that one, it's almost the tooth shape is almost shoveling the material away from the cut face. So
I mean, what we probably will do in the future is we will have probably a live stream just talking about some of the expert accessories we've got out there, and we will cover in length, if you guys want it, of course, looking at expert accessories, including the expert range on our Recip saws and our jigsaws and our angle grinders. There's so much. We want to get some of our accessories colleagues in to talk to us about some of the expert accessories for the metalworking one, which we'll have in a couple of weeks. But as you can see, there is a wide range of expert accessories just for your saber saw machines out there.
I saw one earlier on in the storeroom for cutting loft insulation. I wasn't even aware that we did one for that, but apparently we do. Yeah.
There's so many. There's so many, guys. And the thing is, there's a reason why our accessories catalogue is so full, and I'm pretty much sure it's full of a lot of things, and a lot of them are going to be jigsaw blades and saber saw blade variations.
Yeah.
So again, lots of things. Lots of things to choose out. Lots of accessories to choose from, based on your price point, based on what materials you want to work, and we've also got a wide range of machines that you can choose from, and you can select depending on what you require and what your price brackets are. So it's nearly 5 o'clock. We've been going for an hour talking only about 5 machines, so we're doing quite well. Rob, any last questions?
There are indeed. Let's jump in on them. So we've got one from Alistair. He says, any more news on the rear handle circular saw?
Rear handle? Or are we talking about the left and right, the left biased saw perhaps? Might need more information there, Lewis.
Need more information. That's all good. And that was Alistair.
Oh, sorry, yes.
No worries. Tom Wilkinson said, is there a guide rail adapter for the GKS 18V-57? I bought mine before realising there was a G version and would love to use it with a rail without having to buy a new saw.
No, unfortunately, there's no adapter for that. It's a specific base designed for that particular model of machine. Even the mounting points are completely different between the two bays. So
unfortunately not.
Two bases. Yeah. No.
Lewis continued. He said the new expert carbide multi-material blades are really worth the money. I even invested in the multi-material carbide for the jigsaw. Not used them yet. Waiting for the GST 18V-155. Very nice.
First. Yes, those blades are excellent blades. Again, taking full advantage of the carbide technology inside, give you the ability to cut material that you just simply couldn't before, and also keeping those teeth alive, because again, heat's the enemy of all kinds of accessories, especially bladed accessories, and carbide being able to resist that high heat that you generate when cutting means they just last forever. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not officially forever. They last for a really long time.
Yeah, it's not even just the carbide.
No.
It's the laser welding that attaches the carbide teeth to the steel, the base steel.
Correct,
So
yes.
yeah, they're a very rough and ready blade.
That's right. And that machine that you're talking about, the GST 18V155, they're excellent machines. Again, we talked about them very briefly in one of our previous live streams. Again, if you haven't seen the last couple of live streams we had on woodworking, where we introduced the new brushless 18-volt jigsaws, 4 different models actually, you need to check it out, because that 155 as well as the new 125, excellent machines, excellent upgrades. It's not just brushless machines. We've added a lot more features to it.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we've got another from Rahim. He says, carbide blades can cut through train tracks. That's a killer blade. Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, see it to believe it. It's one of those things of like, we were like, oh, okay, how much of it's just marketing? Well, we don't mess around with just marketing claims. We want to have a go ourselves, and we were impressed.
We
seriously.
actually had a couple of guys from the accessories team come down and tell us about it. Again, we're not sort of optimistic with these sort of things, but we thought we'd give it a go ourselves, and yep, they were right. It's quite capable of doing it, and we did it ourselves.
I think we found out that we could do 1.5 rails easy. I think it's more the fact that me and Dan were starting to get tired doing the cutting, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we were more the weak link in the chain there.
Yeah, exactly.
come to that application.
So then we've got Lewis asking, any further news on a new version of the GOP18V series?
There is. I've forgotten the name of it off the top of my head, but there is a new GOP that's going to be coming out at some point later next year. I'm not sure if it's towards the middle of next year.
It is the middle.
It's going to be a Starlock Plus machine. There's some slight changes to the design, which we quite impressed with, which is the battery is now going to be a different orientation, which means you can have higher capacity batteries without having to worry about that fouling on the material, without having to go below where the blade would normally be, which is one of the issues you may have if you're running the GOP 18V-28.
Yeah, it
so,
also reduces a lot of the vibration felt through the battery as well. So that should be a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as we get a sample, that'll be one of the, again, I've been personally really looking forward to an update on the multi-tool. And I'm looking forward to seeing this one in the flesh.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jay coming in saying, where do we get the Bosch t-shirts? That'd be nice if we sold that, wouldn't it?
Well, Bosch t-shirts, well, you're going to have to come to some events. Nearly every single event we've been at, we've been giving them away. So if you are a true Bosch fan, you need to check us out whenever we are physically going to be at events. Danny and I have been at many of them this year. So if you want some freebies, Bosch polos, Bosch hoodies, Bosch hats, you need to come to some of the events that we are going to be at.
CMD says, any chance of a Bosch pipe press gun?
Oh.
No, but early days. I can't say much more other than maybe.
Yeah.
There are things on the roadmap that will make you very happy.
Yes. Keep in touch, definitely.
Lewis, I think, was possibly following up on your comment about the GOP. He said, don't you mean Starlock Max for the new GOP?
No.
At this stage, the one that we've seen was a Starlock Plus, so it'll be a replacement for the one that we've got at the moment. As far as Starlock Max, I mean, we were both hoping, but we've not heard anything yet. It would be a natural progression, I would imagine, with BITURBO motors, that we would go to a Starlock Max. But as yet, we've not seen any CAD drawings or anything come through for that.
Exactly. Yeah, we expected it, but not yet, or at least. Maybe Lawrence is floating around there, someone in the chat. He might be able to tell us otherwise, but currently, at least officially, we know we are very likely to get a new Starlock Plus machine.
And unless anyone's particularly quick on the ball, we've got one more message. It's from DPlats14. He says, any events up north?
Up north.
What springs to mind?
Well, yes, the Construction Week is next week. That's going to be up at the Birmingham NEC. I don't know if that's up north enough for you. That's an excellent event. It's not a selling event, but it's a really good place to both interact with the Bosch Professional Power Tool team up there. Hopefully Danny and I will be there for at least one of the days, and maybe we can meet you there. That's a really good event to see a lot of our innovations. Nearly all the high-end machines that we have in the range are going to be there. You get to have a real good play with the measuring tools, some of the accessories having a look at, as well as our new launch products, especially the GSB 18V-150C, our new flagship BITURBO brushless combi. They'll be at Construction Week. Definitely come and check us out if you're there or anywhere near.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. So that's the last of the questions. If anyone puts in any questions that we don't get to in the next few minutes, we'll jump on them in the comments of the live stream, alongside any comments that you might put in at a later date when we're not live. So make sure you're in there, because Chris and Dan, they'll keep an eye on that for you, no problem.
That's right. So again, thank you very much. It's just after 5 o'clock. I hope you've had fun. We always have fun.
Yep.
Pop any questions in the chat for later, and we'll pick them up after we go offline. So we'll hopefully, I say hopefully, we're probably going to have the metalworking professional live stream with probably an accessories colleague with us. So we'll probably see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much for myself.
Yeah, and for me as well. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. See
Thank
you
you.
later. Bye.
Bye.